Impact this week I thought was really good. I really did. I liked. Now a lot of people like the TNA purists did not like the debut episode or the live episode from San Antonio, but I actually thought that one was pretty good. And I just felt like the subsequent episode was not very good. This episode I thought was outstanding. I really enjoyed the episode. Aside from the knockouts battle royal, which I thought, and I'm going to get into that once we get into the commentary, thought that was really bad. But he had his big Joe Hendry moment on the Royal Rumble, and then of course at Ariel Helwani show, and then so smartly TNA timing is perfect, and a lot of pro wrestling and stardom and everything is just timing, just that. They opened the show with the Joe Hendry concert, and that was smart because he's good at these things. Maybe they're not always completely for me, but I thought he did a good job. Like the guy's got a ton of charisma. He actually can sing. He can play guitar. Now I do have some criticism, but he kicked off with, Hendry as the champion. He did the old Queen song, and he got the crowd singing. So that's cool. Everybody was really into it. And then after that, he got kind of a serious one. And it says, so much division in the nation, gas prices and inflation. The whole world is going to hell. But that doesn't matter because Joe Hendry won the belt. So, and he got people singing that. And then from there, he literally sings about how this is the part of his concert that some wannabe challenger interrupts him. And then on cue, Jake Something, his entrance hit. I love Jake Something, but boy, is this guy not over. I feel bad. He's going to be gone for a while, too. He's hurt, and I would not be surprised if this was just his send-off. He's a guy they've tried to push several times, and it just never worked, unfortunately. And like the guy's got everything, except for he's not a good promo, and he doesn't have a ton of charisma. But goddamn, is he good in the ring? I love this guy, but it's just not working, and he's hurt now. So he's taking some time off. I don't think he ever comes back. I think this might be the end of Jake Something in TNA, to be honest with you. But Jake Something's entrance tune hits, and he comes out with a microphone in hands. The concert's over, he says, before bringing up Hendry's vow to defend his title anywhere, anytime. Something says with that in mind, he had to talk with Santino, and he's taking him up on the offer. Jake Something versus Joe Hendry next week. So when Joe Hendry started to get over in the summer, his match with Jake Something in the tournament to get into the main event at Slammiversary, the 6-way, I thought that was like the moment where we were like, Joe Hendry can work. Like he can work a little bit. Not great, but he can work a little bit. His match in Philadelphia with Jake Something was awesome. That was probably my favorite Joe Hendry match of the year. I know, maybe the Josh Alexander match, but the Joe Hendry match was really good. I thought that was cool. And then backstage, Miller's interviewing Knockouts champion Masha. She brings up the Knockouts contender battle royal tonight to determine her next challenger for next week's title defense. She brings up Cora Jade lurking as well. Slamovich is interested to see who emerges from the battle royal. Hey, so for those of you that watch NXT, I just assumed that Cora Jade versus Masha was happening at NXT Vengeance Day, but... Oh, hold on. We got some breaking news.
Breaking news.
IO Productions. I'm trusting you, IO. But Josh is backing him up in the chat. Breaking news. Isla Dawn released. Isla Dawn. Let's go to Twitter here. Let's see what's going on here now. Isla Dawn, wasn't she one of the tag team champions? And then they have like that big match in the UK where she was like super over. She won the tag. They beat Bianca Belair, and what wasn't that her? I think that was her. Hold on, let me see. All right, I'm pulling up. Russell Purist, always on the case. Let me pull up this tweet here, and now we'll learn about this in real time. Thank you, Io, for breaking this news right here on the show. Oh, let's see. Let me close my chat there. It says Isla Dawn has announced her WWE release. Here for a good time, not a long time. See you in 90 on Instagram. So there's Isla Dawn right there. I believe she's a former tag team champion. So look, Russell Pierce says was posted on Twitter first, but it seems to be her new account. So a lot of people thought it was a fake, but yeah, she's announced it on IG too. So she is gone. This guy Jay says she was literally just on speed yesterday before SmackDown. I was there. That's crazy. Yeah. So this one's a surprise because I thought that they really liked her. I thought they put her over strong. Let's see. Hold on. I got people in my chat now. Let's see. Josh says, "Oh, hold on." Okay. Josh says we got to get her in. Everyone simps over her, so they'll all come over. Okay. And yes, she won the belts at Alba Fire. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought she was a tag team champion over the summer with Alba Fire. She was in one of the only few established tag teams in the WWE Women's Division. Yeah, I thought that was a good tag team. Okay. She was one of the many who called. Oh, she called out Tessa online, so she might not. Okay, but you know what? Like, I get it. She called out Tessa online. They could work that out. That could be that could be fixed. That could be fixed, right? She called her out as a bully and this and that. But business is business. Business is business. Isla Dawn spoke out against Tessa, so those TNA link probably work. You guys are probably right about that, but eventually you got to squash it, right? Like two people can come together, like, hey, look, you know what? We're business. I have worked with so many people I couldn't stand. I have worked with people that have backstabbed me. I worked with someone like an evil person one time that really tried to get me. It was bad. Like I can't even talk about it in public. It's that bad. And when it all ended, and you know what? At one point we had to work on a project together. I was a professional. I went in and worked on a project with that person. Not a problem. I just did it. Right. And they try to get me good, try to ruin my career. But I figured it out because I'm a professional. So like if Tessa's someone that you really don't like, and Tessa right now is trying to be on her best behavior because she wants to get back into WWE, I don't think you're gonna have a problem. You guys just got to come together and figure it out. Okay. David says, yeah, that whole deal was over 5 years ago, so who knows? Yeah, I mean, and then Chelsea Green still calls Tommy for a TNA return. So I don't like look, maybe she won't want to wrestle Tessa, but I don't think that they can it's probably not one of those things where they can't be in the same building, right? I don't think anybody out there is worried about Tessa continuing that same behavior because of the spot that she's in, right? So, and then if she does, like Tessa knows she's gone. So I don't think that people need to be focused on that too much. So people got to be professionals, just like I said with Cedric Alexander, right? Tony bashed his wife in public, not cool. But business is business. You might have to figure it out. Donald Trump called Ted Cruz's wife ugly, and then like a week later, Ted Cruz is like working the phone lines trying to get people to vote for him. Like shit happens when money's on the line. So like anything can happen. You can come together and squash a beef, especially when you're a pro. Okay. But yeah, that's crazy. You guys in the chat, you're always stop me dead in my tracks whenever breaking news happens. But Isla Dawn released by WWE. That is crazy. That is crazy. I don't even know what to say about that because that caught me off guard. So sorry to hear that, but you know what? Knockouts division needs some freaking help, and we're gonna get into that in a little bit. So speaking of which, yeah, she brings up Cora Jade lurking as well. Slamovich is interested to see who emerges from the Battle Royal. She sends a message of warning to Jade and walks off. The show has. Then we get Ace Austin defeating Tyson DuPont. Tyson DuPont, a little green, but I can see why they like him. He's a big athlete. Probably needs to tighten up a little bit. Probably. especially considering where he works. So it's, body business, and I think he will. He's a good athlete. But Ace Austin got the victory here. So he hits a side Russian leg sweep, follows up with a standing leg drop for a 2 count. Tyson begins fighting back until out of nowhere, Austin hits the fold for the victory. And afterwards, NXT trio attacks until the Rascals make the save and run them off. And I think that's going to be your next big match there. So yeah, guys in the chat, remind me, I don't really watch NXT. Is Masha versus Cora Jade happening at NXT Vengeance Day? Because I assume that's where this was going. But we have not seen any announcements that I'm aware of that that's going to happen. So maybe that match is going to be pushed off until Rebellion, or maybe it's going to happen at Full Sail. I don't know. But I just assumed, I assumed this match, the trios match, is going to be happening at Vengeance Day 2. Like, Ace Austin and the Rascals versus Wesley's crew. I don't know if they have a name yet. I thought that was going to be a Vengeance Day thing too, since TNA doesn't have a TNA Plus special in February. And now that it doesn't look like they're partnering up with Vengeance Day, them not having a TNA Plus special is even more embarrassing. Like, people spend money on those. And you guys are just not giving it to them, but you're going to take the money anyway. Okay. Not cool. All right. Tessa Blanchard is backstage, talks directly into the camera about tonight's Knockouts number 1 contender battle royal. She makes it clear she won't compete in it. She's not having 9 other people gunning for her. Man, a 10-person battle royal. That's embarrassing. She answers to no one, and each and every one of those women aren't going to mess with her because they can't. She walks off to end the promo segment. So immediately they let you know that this battle royal is not going to have the top talent. Tessa Blanchard is the only opponent that's even remotely interesting for Masha Slamovich, and she's not going to be in that. So it's like, okay, now it's like all others at this point. Okay, let's get into this fucking Knockouts Battle Royal. This was terrible. This is one of the worst matches of the year. In fact, I felt so strongly about how bad this match was. I sent a message to Joe Lanza, who watched the recent Game Changer Wrestling show, and there was a ladder match on that show that he said was going to be a candidate for worst match of the year. So I sent him a message like, Joe, you need to watch this one, which for whatever reason TNA clipped for YouTube. But I was like, Joe, you need to watch this one because I think we have a new contender for worst match of the year. This is fucking unbearable. This exposed how bad this division is right now. The little talent depth. Like, look, Danny Luna I think is really good, and it can be something someday. She's not a star yet. Jody Threat, she's a good worker, but I don't think she's ever going to be a star. Ash by Elegance is famous. I don't want to call her a star, but she's got Fed cred. You know what I mean? She came from the Fed. She got Fed cred. But she's already been a challenger, and she just lost in the tag team titles match. Heather is Ash's tag team partner. Okay. Zaya Brookside just doesn't have it, like she's just another body on the roster. She just doesn't have it. And Alicia Edwards is a great heel, but she's not really a contender. She's not. She's been a contender before, but she's not really a contender. And then they brought out Jazz, and man, Jazz is in her 50s, and it was kind of a nice pop, and she's like a hometown. So, that was a nice moment. And Tasha Steelz was like probably the only one in here that actually had any kind of credibility because she was the champion, but she has not been seen as like a top contender for a long time. She just hasn't been seen in that light. I know she beat Jordan Grace, but here's the problem. Whenever you have people leaving the company and you have everybody beat them, by the time you get down the roster, and which is what happened with Jordan Grace, where she just starts losing match after match, they go down the line. And when Tasha Steelz beats her, it doesn't matter. Rosemary beat her too, right? Rosemary was in this match. She was just challenging. Nobody thought that she is a credible threat to the title. And then Savannah Evans, we thought they were going to push her at one point, and she was beating people, and then Xia Li came in, just beat her, and then we haven't seen Xia Li since. This division sucks right now. It doesn't have stars, and the workers are like, some of them are good, most of them are not, and it really is tough. And so I see these WWE releases, and now I see Isla Dawn, and and you see B Priestley out there. It's like TNA needs to do whatever they can to get all of them in the company, because they just need more bodies at this point, and they need somebody with some talent, because they don't have any. Like, their recruiting for the indies is terrible. They're not bringing anybody. Like, Heather by Elegance is kind of like an unsigned, but they don't really they're not doing a lot of recruiting on the indies, at least that I can tell. And somebody had the audacity in my mentions yesterday to say, oh, well, they did the gut check that Harley Hudson's coming. It's like, that was in 2023. It's 2025. Stop talking about Harley Hudson. I'll believe it when I see it. And even then, it's been a long time. What are we doing? And then you got Cora Jade on commentary, and Cora Jade is the cult of zero personality. She sucked on commentary. She had nothing to say. She could barely form a sentence. I don't know what's going on with that lady, but she had no personality whatsoever. No charisma. Couldn't talk. I couldn't tell you what's going on with her. Other than her having some Fed cred, like, I don't see her, like, why she would be challenging for a title. You want her to build up a match, a big match with Masha for, like, what? She can't even talk. Like, she literally had nothing to say. They were asking her questions and she didn't know what to say. They should have, like, had them in a booth and wrote out lines for her, because she was just completely done. Dobby says none of those will be happening at Vengeance Day or on NXT TV. It's a TNA story specific, it seems. They've only had Cora and Wes mention in passing that they're all showing up in TNA lately. So, yeah. Okay. Josh says Gail needs to pull her finger. Io says, you mentioned on Twitter, Mike, that maybe it's on the bosses and not Gail. I get the feeling that Gail would want to hire more people, but they're not letting her. Like, that would be my assumption, because there's good talent out there. There's no reason not to be bringing people in. There's just not a lot of them in this company right now. This is the weakest this division's ever been. At one point in time, people tried to argue, and there were times where there was a good argument that it was the best division, not because of how deep the talent roster was, but because of how they were being used. But right now, it's not being used well, and the talent's not deep. Like, none of the things are true. So anyway, Savannah Evans won. The match stunk. Tons of comedy, bad comedy, especially with Ash by Elegance and Heather by Elegance. The whole thing was just terrible. And they should really be ashamed of themselves for putting it on TV. In fact, this is one of those moments where they should have just cut it. And literally, you can just name Savannah Evans the number one contender. Who cares? Right? Like, you guys don't do sports anyway. And they could have just done what they did. What I hate in this world is they could have just showed old matches from 2007 back when they were famous, right? I don't know. That match was so bad. But yeah, it's we're gonna put that on our list of worst matches of the year. We'll come back at the end of the year and see if anybody was able to beat it. But right now, as far as TNA goes, this is the worst match in TNA of the year. And no one's come close just yet. So, as the show returns, Eric Young comes out with the Northern, as one Jade Chung would say, Armory duo of Icarus and Williams. He boasts Canadians always calling the shots. He has been announced being from Nashville for a long time. He's an American citizen. He's one of us, bro. Now you want to go heel so you're Canadian again? He claims he's above the world title and everyone in TNA. He said he removed Josh Alexander forever, and he's then cut off by Steve Macklin, who comes down to confront him. And his goons in the ring, he says, this is what was worth saving, huh? He says that this was the plan all along. Why didn't he just tell him? He said he's the first person in 4 years he put his trust in. He went to war with them for Young. Yo, they only had a couple tag matches. So I get the story that they're telling, but they really only had a couple tag matches. So it's hard for me not to like wrap my brain around that. But the story that they're telling is that they were super close friends, and Josh and Steve confided in him about his PTSD and trusted him. Um, and then Eric Young betrayed that trust. So, but it's not like this has been going on forever. And now you act like the last 6 months didn't happen. Macklin tells Young that he has crossed the line. He says that as long as the Northern Armory with him, he is not. He walks off, but then Josh Alexander's theme hits, and out he comes. He and Macklin stare each other down as they cross paths on the ramp. Alexander enters the ring and questions how Young can claim he got rid of him for good when he's still standing in the ring. He says his time is in TNA is ending soon, but he loves this place. Well, not really. You loved it when Scott was there. Now you're leaving. He says maybe he'll show everyone one more time. He says that when he went to Santino Morello, and he agreed that next week he will walk the ramp for TNA for one last time, for one last match. He says that next week it'll be Eric Young versus Josh Alexander. He vows to wrestle with everything in his heart to show how much this place means to him, and I'm going to enjoy kicking your ass. So, yeah, that was a great promo. I'm going to miss Josh. It sucks the next week he's leaving. I wish that they were able to come to an agreement, but he just is so checked out. But his performances have still been top notch. Like, he's not going to half-ass it. So I'm sure the match is going to be really good. And their Slammiversary match that they had years ago was really good too. So it was surprisingly like a lot better than I thought it would be. Show returns. Callahan is shown backstage manhandling everyone. Honestly, if Callahan came to confront me, try to manhandle me, I would just shove him into a locker and give him a wedgie, but that's just me. Shown backstage manhandling everyone and anyone in sight to try to find Mance Warner. He confronts Frankie, who claims he isn't even aware who Mance is. Callahan storms off to continue his rampage. Kazarian calls over Santino for working in unsafe conditions, and Morello tells him to take it to EC. Okay, so that's going to be a match next week. And then we get to a really good match, I thought. Leon Slater and the Hardys defeated the System. Jeff Hardy pinned Moose again. So it seems like they're going to do something with Moose and Hardy. The problem is the Hardys continue just wrestling the System. They got no tag teams. There's, obviously we're in Ace and Bay because of what happened with Chris Bay. And they just defeated the Rascals. So now they're going back to the System and they're just wrestling the System. Like two nights in a row in San Antonio, they had to wrestle the System again. Just different variations of the System. But this match was no different. It was really, really good. But they need some more tag teams because they've already ran through everybody. And now it looks like Jeff Hardy is primed for a singles feud with Moose. So maybe that could be the Rebellion match. But a lot of stuff happened in this match, so I'll just get to the end. Jeff finally gets the hot tag, and the crowd comes to life. He goes to work on Moose until JDC and Edwards hit the ring, and the momentum shifts. Slater hits the ring to make the save, taking out the opposition one by one, shifting the momentum back in his team's favor. Slater fires up and hits his trademark turning dive over the ring post to the floor. In the ring, the Hardys hear a pair of plot twists. They hand things over to Slater, hit his own Swanton 450, and then Jeff follows up with the real thing on Moose for the victory. After the match, they just celebrated in the ring. So I thought that was a really fun match, and I actually rewatched the match this morning. I thought it was really good. I thought, this is one of those matches you can probably go out of your way to watch. It was that good. It was fun. The crowd was hot too. It's the Hardy, so the crowd was just super into it. Show comes back, and Ali is walking the halls, and he stumbles across the good hands. John Skyler and Jason Hacho are arguing with each other. Ali tells him he's sick of the fighting around here. Says they're good hands now, but they could be great hands in the future. And then he keeps walking. He sees Tasha Steelz seated with her head in her hands, looking distraught. Sits down next to her, and he, in his utmost faux, sincere, cult-like leader style, pretends to feel for her and empathize with her over being betrayed by her friend Alicia Edwards in the Battle Royal earlier, and convinces her to leave with him. So it looks like he might be starting a faction or something, kind of like maybe his own cabinet, where he's like this cult type leader, but he's a politician and he's got people following him blindly. And maybe the good hands, they got to change that name if they're ever going to be taken serious. But the good hands and Tasha Steelz can be part of his little cabinet. And then we come back, we have another good match. Mike Santana defeating Matt Cardona. Tells me Matt Cardona's probably not coming back for a little while. They just beat him twice in a row. I wish that he would sign here. This is the only company that makes sense for him, other than WWE. But I think WWE has just moved on, right? But so they just kind of threw this match together last week, and because Ali said, I got a friend that you can fight, and it was Cardona. I was like, there's no real connection there, but okay. Cardona trips up Santana after he re-enters the ring and exits again to come out and follow up. He sweeps the legs, crashes on the hard part of the ring. On the floor, Cardona hits a mean suplex on Santana, leaves him laying. He rolls in the ring. Santana goes to do the same. Cardona quickly pounces on him, ground and pounds away. After some back and forth action, Santana takes back over. He hits a buckle bomb, flog splash, tribute to Eddie Guerrero, and hits the spin the block for the win. Clean victory for Mike Santana. So I thought this was a good match. And then we go to the main event, and I thought this match was awesome. This is by far going to be the best match that Ryan Emmis ever been in. I don't think he's ever had a good match, but he's kind of in there with three like really good wrestlers, and Fraxiom's probably the best tag team going today. And so this is a great match, great crowd heat. They got a good story going on between the two brothers. I don't know how it's. I think eventually Nick's gonna have to turn, and Ryan would be his manager. That's where I would go with it. The Ryan just looks like he could be a good manager, Hollywood hunk. He could do the whole gimmick, but they're just telling the story how they're going to get there. Now they're going to pause the story for a while because Nick is going to Qatar for the next set of tapings. Mustafa Ali too. So they're going to be gone for a month. They're going to miss a month of TV. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll get a lot of NXT talent on those next shows, but let's go here towards the end, and we're going to send this thing home. Nick stalks both guys as they get up, but Ryan tags himself in. Ryan hits the ring, and both Nemesis hit Danger Zone. Danger Zone, and Ryan was like a reverse one. I can't remember what he called his, though. Ryan tries quickly to going for the cover, but only gets 2.5. Nick hits an elevated DDT on display for Ryan. Ryan goes to follow up, but Axiom takes over as they climb the ropes. Axiom knocked off. Frazier leaps up, hits a superplex. Then we see a golden ratio brainbuster combo spot by Fraxiom for a super close pin attempt, which Nick breaks up in just in time, and the fans loudly react. TNA. That was probably the big moment of the match. Nick blasts Frazier with a super kick in the ring while Ryan is looking under the ring for something. He pulls out a chair, slides into the ring. Nick stops him. The distraction allows Fraxiom to take over. The champs quickly capitalize and within seconds take out Ryan and score the pin to retain the titles. Great match. Nick looks upset at ringside at just what happened with his little brother. And that's how we go off the air. Next week, we got Joe Hendry versus Jake something. Big week next week for the TNA title. Knockouts Championship. Masha versus Savannah Evans. Josh Alexander versus Eric Young. Frankie versus Sammy Callahan. And Zaya Brookside versus Cora Jade. So next week is a stacked show. That is a huge week next week. So, but I thought this was a bounce back episode. I thought last week's episode was like okay, kind of mostly pretty boring. But this week I thought was a great show. And unfortunately, just had one of the worst goddamn matches I've ever seen in my life. But I think that if you're just someone that likes to, you listen to my reviews and you want to know what you can watch, the trios match and the main event, I thought are two matches that you can watch, and they're both up on YouTube right now. I just rewatched them. Let's get to the chat, and we're going to send this thing home. Io, the always positive Io says, I think Brookside will have a good 2025. Well, we'll see about that. And World Elite EY is back. Yep. Let's see. The Family Guy, no diabeto, roll back the kitchen, feels suitable for Sammy. Yeah. What would I rename the Good Hands? Honestly, at this point, I think that they're beyond repair. It would be one of those things where like you would have to send them away for a while, repackage them, and then come up with a better name. But I think that they should just break up, and Jason Hotch should just go straight X Division at this point. And John Schuyler is just like the guy standing in the ring. When you come back from commercial break, no entrance music, no nothing. Unlike, back in the day, WCW Saturday Night, and then like the star comes in and just kicks his ass in 3 minutes. That's John Schuyler. That's just where I see him. Io says we want Chelsea chance. Yeah, we did. And then Io also said Mustafa Ali's cabinet is some intriguing. Yeah, very intriguing. Josh, fairly obvious winners next week. Yeah, they're big matches, but everybody kind of knows who's gonna win. So, and that's the trouble with these televised world title matches early in the run, and there's no real contenders for the championship right now, except for Ali and Mike Santana. But you're gonna keep those two guys away from Joe Hendry, so you really have no other challengers. So it's difficult because the roster is not deep. And we were hoping by now we'd have plenty of new signings, but we just haven't had it. Right? We got Mustafa Ali, just was like the most recent guy added. That was a star. So we'll see if come February, come next week, if we have more signings. But hopefully we do. Especially because Nick Nemeth and Mustafa Ali, two of their top stars, out of their top 5, those are 2, right? So you're missing those guys for a whole month of TV. I'm sure they'll do some vignettes and some promos and stuff like that, but you're not going to see them wrestle for an entire month, and that's tough. So they're not even going to be part of the build to Sacrifice coming up. So, but all right, guys, that is going to do it for me this week on Brace for Impact. We got some breaking news during the show, so that was cool. Isla Dawn out of WWE, but stay tuned for tomorrow night. JD and I will be back. We'll see. I think there's no pay-per-view this weekend, so we will just check up on the news and kind of bullshit and see what else is happening in the world of wrestling. But we'll be back tomorrow night. All right, and until next time, mahalo.